Welcome to video number 2 on embroidering on garments. My name is Patricia Gates and my company is Purely Gates Embroidery. We're known for our trademark Mylar embroidery, which is machine embroidery that I've specially digitized to incorporate Mylar. So far we have over 160 collections of designs, and they're available either on CD or as a digital download on our website purelygatesdigital.com. In this video, I will show you how to handle those hard to hoop areas of a garment, what you should do before you hit the start button on your machine, and you'll see the simple steps to stitching a Mylar embroidery design, giving you what I hope you'll find to be great tips on embroidering on garments. Hard to hoop areas. I believe to achieve the best results, hoop the garment if at all possible. But sometimes where the design will be stitched on the garment may determine whether you hoop your garment or do hoopless embroidery. Hoopless embroidery is embroidery where only the stabilizer is hooped and the fabric or garment is laid on top of the hooped stabilizer. Hoopless embroidery is the best method when embroidering a design on a sleeve, on a collar, near a collar, in the shoulder area, or near the hem of a garment. Anytime the part of the garment you're embroidering won't completely fill the hoop, or you can't hoop due to buttons or zippers or pockets, hoopless is the answer. Here you can see that it's probably best if this design is hoopless, since the inner hoop needs to go into the sleeve, shoulder, collar area of the jacket in order for it to fit. When placing your garment on the hoop for hoopless embroidery, I like to use these steps to make sure that I can get my design where I want it to be. In picture 1, you'll see that I've hooped my Hydro Stick stabilizer with the hoop collar on top. As I mentioned earlier, when hooping stabilizer alone, I like to use a hoop collar. It may be hard to see, but in this picture, the hoop collar is the white felt piece on top of the stabilizer. In picture 2, I placed my hoop grid inside the hoop and, using an ink pen, placed dots on the stabilizer using the small holes in my grid. I'm using an ink pen since I'm embroidering on a denim jacket and there's no risk that the markings will show through. If embroidering on a light colored garment, use a pencil. Since the stabilizer will remain behind the design, you don't want to risk your lines showing through the embroidery and garment once you're done. Don't use a water-soluble pen because once you wet your stabilizer later on, your marks will disappear. In picture 3, I take a ruler to connect the dots to make my crosshairs for placement, and you can see them here in the next picture. In picture 4, I spray the Hydro Stick stabilizer with water to activate the adhesive on the stabilizer. Make sure the entire surface is wet. I like to run my finger across the stabilizer to spread the water around to ensure that the whole surface is indeed wet. In picture 5, see that red dot? That's the head on a straight pin I used to pierce through my garment at the center of the crosshairs. I guide the pin to the center crosshairs on the stabilizer as in the next picture. Once aligned in the center, I press the jacket down just in the center. In picture 6, I repeat this method for aligning the north, south, east, and west ends of each line until the garment is stuck to the stabilizer. Let this sit for a couple of minutes while you choose your threads for the project. I let it sit because wet glue does not stick, and all it takes is a couple of minutes for it to get real tacky. Now you're ready to put the hoop on the machine. Carefully carry the hoop with the garment attached over to the embroidery machine and slide it on the embroidery arm. Place the template back on the garment, lining it up with your marks on the garment, and compare it to the design as shown on the screen of your machine to ensure that its orientation matches the way you hooped it before you push the start button. Now I will float a piece of medium weight tearaway underneath the hoop once it's attached to the machine. You'll want to clear the hoop area around and underneath the hoop, and also make sure that none of the garment will get hung or is sliding off the table. Hand turn your needle down to check to see if the needle is aligned with the center crosshairs you marked on your fabric. Adjust the design in the hoop if necessary using the positional arrows on your machine. If your garment has thick seams or flat fell seams like this jacket seems to have all over the place, I recommend slowing down the speed of your machine. Also, a little known feature on some machines is that you can raise the presser foot height for embroidery. When I approach these tall areas during the embroidery process, I stop the machine, go into preferences, and raise the presser foot height just for these areas. Once it's done stitching in that area, I put it back to the default setting. You will want to print out the color chart that comes with the designs you're about to stitch. Why is it important to look at the color change chart that comes with a Mylar embroidery design? It's the only place that tells you when it's time to lay down the Mylar over the design and when to remove it. If you place the Mylar over the design at the wrong time, you will not get the sparkle you expect. Now I can hit the start button on my machine and stitch the design, following the color change chart that comes with the design. Jumping forward in this design, I have stitched color changes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 per the color change chart. Notice that there's a green dot on color change number 5. The key on the color chart for this design tells me that this means that I will place Mylar over the design after color 5 has finished stitching. Since color 5 is finished stitching, I'm laying the piece of Mylar over the design. Briefly hold the Mylar in place with your fingers. Every Mylar embroidery design is created so that the color change that follows the green dot will automatically start by stitching a running stitch around all the areas intended for Mylar to tack it down before filling in the design. This means that as soon as the running stitch is complete and the design begins to fill in, you can remove your fingers from holding the Mylar in place. Now we're stitching color change number 6. Take another look at color change number 6 on the chart, and you'll see a red dot. According to the key on the chart, the red dot means that I will remove the excess Mylar after color 6 has stitched. Now that color 6 has finished stitching, I can remove any excess Mylar that has not been stitched over. The Mylar removes very easily just by tearing it. The stitching in the design has perforated it. Continue changing threads per the color change chart until the design is complete. Here you can see the shine in these roses, all thanks to the beauty of Mylar. Remove the jacket from the hoop and remove any excess medium weight tearaway stabilizer. If doing multiple designs on one garment, leave the hydro stick on until the entire project is complete. Now hoop for your next design. To stitch sleeves on a garment, mark placement lines using templates, then open up the sleeve and jacket side seams so that you can flatten out that area for embroidery. Here in picture 1, you can see the sleeve is marked. I hooped my hydro stick stabilizer and stuck the sleeve on top of the hoop using the hoopless embroidery steps I showed before. In picture 2, you can see the hoop is attached to the machine. I rolled up the cuff area of the sleeve to keep it from dragging with the movement of the hoop. In picture 3, I advanced the machine by 1 stitch to see where the design was going to stitch, as I did for the baby onesie, to make sure that the area is clear for stitching. In pictures 4 and 5, you can see that the lower hoop area is revealed for the stitching, and then the upper hoop is revealed for stitching by manipulating the garment around the hoop. With the sleeves done, my embroidery on this jacket is now complete. I stitched the side seams and sleeve seams that I had opened up for the embroidery. Tear away all of the medium weight tearaway stabilizer, then put the garment in the wash to remove the adhesive in the hydro stick. Once the wash is done, remove it and tear away the excess hydro stick stabilizer. You can then either throw the garment in the dryer or hang it dry if you didn't pre-shrink it. You don't have to completely cover a garment, just start with 1 or 2 placements to build your confidence. A garment like this jacket can be built up over time. Make your project extra impressive by using a Purely Gates Mylar embroidery design. For not much more effort than stitching a regular design, you can sparkle and shine with the beauty of Mylar. Now that you know how easy it is to stitch a Mylar embroidery design, why wouldn't you put it on everything? Here are just some of the many garments I've embellished using my Mylar embroidery designs, from t-shirts to dress shirts to denim shirts to jackets. It's time to embroider something for yourself that you can wear. If you haven't already, please check out video number 1 for more great tips on embroidering on garments. Thanks for watching.